And I think you can see for yourself that this morning is a freezing morning. There is clear skies, no clouds, meaning there's no insulation for planet Earth. All the heat has escaped and we still have frost and snow on the ground. The sun is shining, so hopefully it'll heat up, but it means we have great weather for photography. We can have some crisp frost in the wildlife photos and have all of that bright sunlight, which can create quite a lot of contrast, but should allow for some awesome photos. Now today I'm going to be taking out the Sigma 150 to 600mm lens, and we're going to be seeing how this lens performs for wildlife photography in the real world. I'm going to take you with me, show you how I take the photos and the photos we take using this lens. Now, if you're watching this video, you probably know the basic statistics of this lens, but I am quickly just going to say this lens has a range from 150mm up to 600mm. If you're using a full frame camera, that's all you will get. If you're using an APS-C sensor camera, you will have a 1.6 crop on that. This lens does have a predominantly plastic build if you go for the contemporary version. However, if you go for the more expensive sport version, it has a metal casing. I have the contemporary version here, and that's what we're going to be using today. And so having a plastic lens means it is slightly lighter. It means you have to be slightly more careful, you know, don't throw it down a cliff because it won't survive, but it's worked perfectly well for me. I've been using it now for almost 2 years, and so this lens, it's still in good shape. There's a few watermarks, a few tiny scratches, but as a general rule, it's doing very well. The other reason is the price. It is much cheaper. It's about 300 to 500 pounds cheaper, I believe, and that means that you can afford this lens and you can buy another lens on top. You could buy the nifty 50, or you could upgrade your camera. And the difference between the sports lens and the contemporary lens, there's lots of people who have reviewed them. There doesn't seem to be that much of a difference. So for me, I went for the contemporary lens. If you're looking to buy the two lenses and you are on a budget, or you are aware of the weight of the gear, I would definitely go contemporary. I love how cold it is. This water here, I don't know if you can see, it looks icy. I kind of want to test it. Let's get a stick. Right. I'm going to prod the water. If it's not icy, it's going to be quite disappointing. I don't know if you can see that. It's like a film. And if you still don't believe me that it's absolutely freezing out here, just look at this log. 2 days ago we had our first snow here in Britain. It was the 11th of December overnight, and there was a very thin layer of snow. Now I did get out briefly and took some video of the snow, and so here's a few clips from then. And believe it or not, the cold creating this environment can help us as wildlife photographers. I'm not just trying to get sympathy by saying it's cold. You see, the white of the frost and the snow helps to reflect light. If you have birds in a tree above snow, then the sunlight or the daylight which is hitting that snow reflects back up, it bounces, it acts as a huge bounce board for light and illuminates the whole of the bird. Now, as you can see, it's not that white. It's not really snowing. We're not in Norway or anything, but either way, there is that little bit more reflection and everything does feel a little bit brighter because it's white and white is brighter. So yeah, there's a little tip about wildlife photography and how the snow can help you to make the most of the light. The lady that just walked past told me there's a kingfisher by a marina, so it's further up this path. Hopefully we'll go find it. Now, if we could find a kingfisher today and take photos using this lens, that'd be incredible. Very, very exciting. So I'm just going to keep my eyes peeled and keep listening. They have a very high-pitched shriek that they make before they fly off, so I'm going to be listening for that while also looking in every overhanging branch over the river. And that woman was right, the kingfisher was relatively near the marina. I had to walk a bit past it and then we found it and we took some photos. Now at first the sun was in front of me, so I was only getting like kind of a silhouette of the kingfisher, but gradually I managed to walk my way until I was on the same side as the sun, so the sun was lighting up the colours of the kingfisher before the kingfisher got scared away by someone walking on the other side of the river. Now I saw it fly off into the distance and I thought, ugh, it's gone. Anyway, I turn around and I walk in the same direction, which is the way I've already walked, but you know, I'm just walking back the way I'm going, thinking the kingfisher will fly much faster than me. I'm not going to catch it up, but I'm going to go that way just in case. And guess what? We found it again. It was just up here in these trees, so I set my tripod up while it was there, and as soon as my tripod was ready, I was about to find the bird, hit record, he flies away. Sadly, this time he didn't fly down or up the river. He flew deep into the other side, and I can't follow him in there, so it seems that might be it with the kingfisher unless we find another one, and I am going to keep my eyes open. Anyway, here are the photos. And while the tripod's out, I have it filming some cormorants. They're sitting up on a telephone pole, and it's a very interesting thing to see because cormorants themselves are quite wild, and seeing them on a human structure warming up in the sun is always a cool thing to see. Now, the camera is on a tripod using the lens, and this is a great thing about the lens. Stability and balancing is really easy. It comes with a mount, which means this foot from the lens is mounted to the middle of the tripod, meaning balancing it is easy even on a ball head, which I have here. Now, the footage is very stable because it's on a tripod, but what would you do if you didn't have a tripod and you were shooting handheld, which is what I've been doing up until now. All the photos you've seen have been handheld, and that is where the stabilization comes into play. Now, this camera has 3 modes of stabilization, of which one is off, so that doesn't really count. There is then a stabilization mode 1 and 2. Stabilization mode 2 is for panning. This is if you're going from side to side, the camera will keep that nice and level for you. However, if you just want general stabilization for any type of photography, and this is the one I use all the time, stabilization mode 1 will stabilize all the fields up, down, side to side, and it just means that you can, 1, use a lower shutter speed, so you don't have to have a tripod and you can lower the ISO, but it also means that you don't have to worry so much about, you know, holding the camera still, and finding a subject and keeping the focus on it is easier, because when you're looking through a viewfinder at 600mm, that is a lot of zoom, and so a tiny bit of movement causes the subject to move all over the place, especially if you're photographing something small like a kingfisher. But with the stabilization, it just keeps it all centered in the frame, so you don't have to worry so much, and you can focus more on getting the settings right and the composition. And 2 more crazy things happen, but first you're probably asking, what's this in my hand? This is an electric hand warmer, and honestly, when you go out and do wildlife photography like this in this kind of weather, having one of these is essential. I can feel my knuckles, it feels like there's ice inside them. It's that cold, it's absolutely freezing. These are linked in the description. I'm not sponsored in any way, I just think that if you're going out in the cold to do wildlife photography, you should pick one of these up. They are so great, they're rechargeable and they're nice and warm. You can grip them, they have a nice feel, and they really help you keep that dexterity in your hands when you're using the camera. So, the first crazy thing that happened was there was a robin on the path in front of me, and I lay down on the floor. I was stretched out across the path. Luckily, no one was coming, and we got some awesome photos because I was eye level with the robin. We have beautiful bokeh in the front and the back, the orange of the leaves on the path, some beautiful photos. So here are those photos. And the next crazy thing is the kingfisher came back. Now at this point, I think there's a few of them. I think it was a different kingfisher and it was coming from a different direction, but my camera was all ready. It was already on the tripod because I'm just leaving it on there now. And we got some video. Now, this is something I've never done. I've never managed to video a kingfisher before, not with my proper camera, but we did get some proper video. Stability may not be great because I was still setting the tripod up as it flew away and stuff, but we got some video to go with the photos, and here they are. And behind me I have an icy lake and there's some coots running around on the ice. It's super cute, they're kind of slipping and slidey. So I'm taking some video using the Sigma 150 to 600mm lens. Now, we haven't gone into too much technical detail about this lens today. I've come out into the real world, into nature, and I've used this lens, and you've seen all of the footage we've taken. We've taken photos, we've taken videos, and we've seen some awesome wildlife, which is really exciting. Now, I hope you found this video useful. If you have any questions or you want to see a more detailed review, I have reviewed this lens in full, so you can go and watch that. The links will be in the description to the other videos. Go check out my Instagram, the link is in the description. You can see other photos I've taken with this lens in all sorts of scenarios, and I will see you in the next one.